Hey guys, Algae here, and today we're going to be looking at one of the most influential video games of all time, the very first arcade blockbuster, and the game that finally turned video games as a whole into a worldwide industry. Today we're going to be looking at the one, the only, the often imitated, but never quite duplicated, Space Invaders.
Space Invaders is an arcade game that was released in 1978 that was developed by Tomohiro Nishikado. It was manufactured and sold by Taito in Japan and Midway in the States. One of the earliest shooting games, Nishikado lists many influences that helped him to shape the final iteration of the game. One of the biggest sources of inspiration was Atari's breakout arcade game. He wanted to create a shooting game that gave the player an equivalent level of achievement from completing levels and destroying targets, but wanted something that featured more complex graphics. He employed a similar layout to Breakout, but had the player controlling an object that shot projectiles rather than a bouncing ball, and at moving targets rather than static ones. Original designs for enemies included tanks and combat planes, but he was not satisfied with how they looked. After seeing a feature about Star Wars, he came up with the idea of using a space theme. The final design of the aliens were influenced by the aliens from the 1953 film adaptation of The War of the Worlds, as well as squids and crabs. Besides designing the game, Nishikado also developed the hardware needed to run the game. While he was programming for it, he discovered that the processor was able to render the enemies faster when there were less on the screen, and rather than program to compensate for this, he decided to retain this aspect to challenge players as they progressed. The gameplay of Space Invaders is an extremely simple concept. The player controls a laser cannon on the bottom by moving it back and forth horizontally and shooting at the aliens that are descending from above. The different kinds of aliens have different point values, and every once in a while, a spaceship will fly across the top that can be shot for bonus points. As they descend, the aliens will also shoot down at you, but you are provided some cover by defense bunkers that are slowly depleted by the players and the alien shots. As mentioned earlier, as aliens are destroyed, the wave gets faster and faster, and things get much more tense, especially in big part to the wonderful and effective, but simple soundtrack that actually paved the way for the direction of future video game music. Now, while the music is just a 4-note loop throughout the game, it was the first game to feature continuous music throughout, uninterrupted by sound effects. Not only that, but it introduced the idea of music variability in order to influence the narrative of a game. As the enemies move faster, the tempo of the music rises as well, making for a much more intense and enthralling experience. Not only do you lose if you run out of lives, but if the invading menaces are allowed to land, that too is a game over. And yeah, this game was a huge smash hit. It's crazy how well this game did. In Japan, there were even specialty arcades that opened with nothing but Space Invader cabinets. Can you fucking imagine that? By the middle of 1981, more than 4 billion quarters, or $1 billion, had been grossed from Space Invaders machines and continued to make millions afterwards.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, there was always this rumor going around, this urban legend that I always heard that, Space Invaders was so popular in Japan that they ran out of 100 yen coins. There's a shortage of them. There just wasn't enough to go around because everyone was pumping them into Space Invader machines. And I've since, as I got older and looked into it, found out that it's completely illogical. It's not true. There was like a shorter run in 1978 or something of 100 yen coins, so it's just completely not true. But just the fact that such a legend exists around this game, just as a testament to the majesty that is Space Invaders, just the fact that this whole story was concocted, the fact that, it's such a big part of culture and has such a status that this kind of a story even got around. I just think that's just a true testament to how awesome this game is.
So, I mean, really? If you haven't played Space Invaders yet, what the hell are you waiting for? It's one of the de facto all-time classics in video game history. I'd say it's the video game equivalent to the Birth of a Nation in the film world in regards to popularity and innovation. While some may argue that games that came afterwards were better, it is hard to deny the sheer awesomeness of the originator. Even though I am really not the best at this game, easily noted by my gameplay footage, I find myself playing it for hours at a time and determined to see how many waves I can destroy. This is a must-play game for any gaming fan.
Alright guys, that's my review of Space Invaders. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you guys next time.